This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo, giving you the inside track on all the big talking points from Anfield.
First and foremost, we're going to bring on a chap you all probably know about. He's the kind of eyes and ears through the Liverpool Echo of Liverpool Football Club. He knows virtually everything you need to know about them. He's got the inside access to the team all the time. So please give a big round of applause to the chief correspondent for Liverpool FC for the Liverpool Echo, Mr. James Pearce. Thank you, James. How are you, pal? Good to see you, mate. Sit down. Yeah, I'm good. We'll have a little chat with James and then bring the others on in just a sec. How are you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Good. Oh, I'm sure I speak for everyone in the room at the moment when we say that we couldn't really have expected the season to have gone as well as it's been going at the moment.
Well, it's been an absolute joy to watch and report on so far. I think, if you went back to August, if anyone offered you this position then, you'd have absolutely taken it. You think people were talking about this Man City team being one of the greatest Premier League squads that had ever been assembled, and we're in middle of February, and Liverpool are in a better position than them. I wouldn't swap Liverpool's position for anyone. I think last weekend felt massive in terms of not just the win, but that performance against Bournemouth, because probably like anyone else, I was genuinely worried after the dip in performance levels after the turn of the year, really, because Liverpool won a few games, but without being particularly convincing, and you think you can't sustain that. I know we talk about that's the mark of champions, grinding out a win when you're not playing well. But you can't keep on playing poorly and winning. It has to click back into gear, and last weekend felt like a weight lifted off everyone's shoulders to see Liverpool playing with a fluency that we probably haven't seen since we thrashed Arsenal back in December.
Yeah, it's about momentum, isn't it? And I think one of the key things for me, certainly with the Bournemouth game, because City have started this momentum and because we had the draws with Leicester and West Ham, I think a key figure now, and we've mentioned this in the podcast, in previous podcasts, we paid £52 million for Naby Keita, and we were all just, because of our expectation of what we knew he could do. I think when he came, it was difficult because he had to be thrown straight in, didn't he? And I don't think it's what Klopp likes to do. But it really lifted me to see his performance in that middle three with Georginio Wijnaldum. I think he needs someone behind him to mop up, doesn't he? So it's really encouraging at this stage in the season now to see Naby Keita hopefully getting into his stride.
Yeah, it felt like a huge step forward for Keita, didn't it? I think it's been a pretty rough first season for him at Liverpool. I think probably not a big surprise in terms of he only turned 24 last weekend, still a relatively inexperienced young player moving to a new country. He doesn't speak the language. I think he struggled a bit with that, which I don't think that helps the settling in period as well, when you can't speak to your teammates properly and all the rest of it. And he's had some real bad luck along the way as well. With he's had injuries that have hampered his progress. He hasn't really had a proper run in the team. I think last weekend was the first time he started 4 games in a row. So it was interesting listening to Klopp after the game on Saturday, and he said that for him, Keita was one of the first names on the team sheet against Bournemouth, and he kind of was asked to explain, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, because I saw such promising signs in that second half against West Ham. He said, that he had to be given another chance because, he almost felt like he had to let him play through this kind of difficult period. I mean, he made loads of mistakes against West Ham. Off the ball, he let runners go. His decision making was pretty bad with the ball, but there were signs in that game he was coming good. And then I think you've got to give Klopp a lot of credit in terms of the way that he's managed him. And not many managers, I think, in that position would have thought you can let a player play through a tough period when Liverpool are playing for what they're playing for at the moment. But I think we saw probably for the first time since August, we saw what Keita can give to this Liverpool team, and confidence is such a big factor, isn't it, in football? And I think we could see at the weekend, the pass he played in the build-up to the third goal, where to Firmino, I don't think he'd even played that pass the week before. I think it was just he was growing into the game, and he could be massive. I mean, he could be the difference between Liverpool winning the league and not winning the league between now and May, because if he now is able to build on that and really use that as a platform, then hopefully we'll be seeing the Naby Keita that we all had seen in all those YouTube clips before he turned up at Anfield.
He's the last key, really, isn't he? Because I think Fabinho was he was sort of nurtured in, and he started to play really well. He started to be one of them players where you can really see the value of what Fabinho's going to bring. But how much have we missed Georginio Wijnaldum? Because do you agree with that? I think he's one of those players, Ginny, and that I used to always say about Didi Hamann. You never really appreciated Didi Hamann till he was injured, and then you thought, that's what he does, that's what he brings. And I think we've missed Wijnaldum because he just keeps that strength in midfield. So I think going forward, that middle three could really kick us on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, spot on. I think with Wijnaldum, I think he's one of those players who he's never less than a 7 out of 10, is he? He's just, this season he's been an absolute model of consistency, and he's just such a versatile footballer, isn't he? I think he's a manager's dream to work with. I think, I'm sure people have seen his quotes from after the weekend, and he had no right to even be on the field against Bournemouth, let alone be the best player on the pitch, because he hadn't even stayed in the team hotel because he'd been taking tablets for his knee that had ruled him out of the West Ham game. Those tablets had then made him sick.
He has what we technically call the wildies.
He did, and he even.
Please excuse my son from school. He's got the wildies. Yeah, go on.
And he was saying that he was happy that anyone to hear the halftime whistle, because he really did have to run off and visit the little boys' room. But no, he's an absolute class act, Georginio Wijnaldum. I think, like most people, when Liverpool signed him, I'd seen him play for Newcastle, and you think, yeah, he was a decent attacking player for them, but certainly when you'd watched him play, I thought he was one of those players who you wait for him to, he waits to receive the ball, and then looks to make something happen, and Klopp has seen something else in him, and played him almost 15, 20 yards deeper, and he's just such a vital cog in that Klopp team in terms of the link between midfield and attack, and just a very unselfish team player. And you speak to the coaching staff there, and they just say he's one of those players who, whatever role you give him to do, he'll go and do it. He's such an intelligent footballer. He can take on board things that he doesn't usually do, and you'd never be able to guess he's not done it before. And it was interesting at the weekend. Klopp played him further forward. I think certainly in the first half he was the more advanced of the three. And the one criticism you probably have of him, if he doesn't score enough goals, he doesn't have an effect enough in the final third. Because when you see him take a goal like he took that goal on Saturday, it kind of makes you think, well, how would he not? He scored.
There's a stat like he scored more goals for his international club than he has for his home team.
I mean, the Netherlands sometimes play him as a number 10. Yeah. Like, they value him that highly in terms of his ability to break down a stubborn defence. So he's obviously you'd be looking at Van Dijk and Salah in terms of Player of the Year nominees, but after that, I don't think you'd have Georginio Wijnaldum far behind them.
No, absolutely not. We're going to ask James. We've got some of your questions here. We're going to ask James some questions in just a bit as well, and try and get to the bare bones of. Because it's a great question about all the secrets. I'm going to have to ask you that. I forgot to actually mention the last time I brought James on, and we made a little joke about it on the podcast. I went on Wikipedia to find out a bit about him. And I introduced him as someone you'd commentated on 8 Olympics. I should have done the maths really. It's 30 odd years. Turns out Wikipedia talk a load of shite. I didn't know. So I brought him on as somebody who'd commentated on the last 8 Olympics and scored the first goal in the new Wembley. But this is another guy called James Pearce, isn't it?
It's a different one.
It's a different James Pearce. We're happy with our James Pearce. Give it up for James Pearce for now. Thanks, James. Sit back. Okay, I'm going to bring in our next guest. As I say, there's lots of questions for all three of them as well. I'm going to bring in our next guest for this evening. There's a guy who, when he first started his business and his company, I did one of his first interviews on an old rickety second-hand sofa, didn't I, mate? He's gone on to great things now. He has a lot of access to Liverpool Football Club, and he's a real great story of how a business can really grow, and with ambition and talent as well. Please welcome from Redmen TV, Paul Machin. Keep the applause going till he gets up the stairs. That's what happens when I do stand-up. They start applauding and they get about 5 foot away and they all stop. It's a nightmare. Nice to meet you, matey. How are you, sir? Good to see you, pal.
Yes, very good indeed.
Thank you. Welcome.
Sorry, I was told to bring some questions up for the people there. I'm loading the deck.
You've been bullied into questions. You are alive. Tell us a bit about your journey, Paul, how you started. Yeah. How you started with Redmen TV and where it is now.
Yeah, so it goes back years and years. You know what, the lads I do it with, or started it with, are lads I went to school with. We used to hang around, you know, go to the pub, watch the games, particularly during the Rafford era. And, you know, we'd sit around, as everyone does. You sit around, you have a bevy, and you chat shit about the Reds. No. And it's basically now my job description. But it's, but no, I thought, this is good, this. And like everyone's had it. You should put this on TV. And no one wanted to do that. So yeah, we went on.
You can't say fuck. That's right.
Well, yeah, we went on. So we put it on YouTube, and then it kind of grew from there. Yeah, and then obviously Neil Fitzmaurice and Diddy a Man were the early guests in the back room in my house.
Whatever happened to him? World
Cup finalist. Use me bog. That's not many people can say that. But no, it went.
Kaiser in the Kazi.
The Kaiser was in the Kazi. Yeah, but no, it's mad. It went from strength to strength. We always said, you know, if you do something that you love and you have fun doing it, then you trust that other people will do the same. And early on, people said, nah, no one will be into that. No one's going to care what you've got to say. And it's still right, but it was one of those. It was a passion for us, and you know, it went from being a pitch originally to LFC TV, which they knocked back. Can't imagine why. And then it's just gone from strength to strength. It's been
so
great.
You've got your own studios now. So Redmen TV operate from their own facility.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's frightening when you think where it's come from, as you say. Second hand, you were on the casting couch back in the day. Yeah, best the less.
Not the first time I've been on one of them, mate.
The less said about that, the best. And yeah, we moved to the Dovedale Towers pub for a bit when we got out of ours, and we took a step up from there, and then yeah, we took a bit of investment and moved up to our own place.
You're saying there that when you started, you were in the Rafford era, and of course Rafford will always be fondly thought of by Liverpool fans, but what do you think the difference is between him and Klopp, and how much has Klopp changed the club and changed the ambition of Liverpool Football Club in your eyes?
I think Rafa reset the bar for what we expect from a Liverpool manager, because if you remember the time when that job was coming up, Alan Kirbishley was being linked with the Liverpool job. You know what I mean? And we're like, oh, Kirbishley, he did a decent job. He did a decent job at Charlton. No. Rafa came in, and there's a guy with the European experience, has won La Liga, and he says it. And I think Klopp's come in and just raised the bar even higher, to be honest.
It's an extraordinary point. A good point you're raising about Rafa that we forget as well about him. But when you look back at Rafa, when you look back at the signings that we had under Rafa, they're extraordinary, aren't they? Mascherano and Alonso and Pepe Reina.
Hosami.
You know, just for every Reina there's a Hosami, mate. You know what I mean? But I think that was part of it. It was part of the change of that regime, wasn't it? It was about, he knew where Liverpool were, and he knew that he had to get the best in to get that job.
Yeah, he was one of those managers who got Liverpool inside and out in a completely different way to Klopp, but he absolutely got it. And we've seen other managers try and get it, like Brendan Rodgers. I think he understood what it was, but I think it always felt like a box-ticking exercise for him. Like he goes, what do I need to be a Liverpool manager?
I think when you're known by the players as David Brent, you think you've had it, haven't you?
Cough, that documentary, man. But yeah, and then obviously Hodgson. Funnily, it's Hodgson, to his credit, didn't give a fuck, did he? Like, you know what I mean? He was him, and no, you know what I mean? He never got it at all. And then Jurgen's come in, and him being him, he's just the most Scouse non-Scouser going, isn't he? He intrinsically gets what it is, and what we feel a real kinship with him, and he's one of those people as well who is to meet him, which was I got to do in the summer, as a genuine thrill. He is exactly like you think he's going to be, and some people are not. Some people are, they've got a public persona and then the massive bellends behind that. Shooting down transfers. But no, Jurgen's absolutely amazing, and that's why we love him, and that's why when people don't get it from outside, we go, great, because you don't get us either. Fair play.
And what he's done with the club as well, what he's done. And again, in a way, the Rafa did as well, saw signings that we didn't really think, maybe we thought, oh, that's an interesting one. Like the Georginio Wijnaldum, and playing him in a different position, but sees something. And his patience as well is interesting, because, the Virgil van Dijk thing, we were all screaming for a centre-back. And even, I suppose you could say, with the goalkeeper as well, he wants what he wants, and he doesn't really want second best, does he?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of buttes on the internet that he's totally proven wrong. You know what I mean? Like, what's he doing? What's that buying a centre-half? There's not many centre-halves better than Lovren and Matip. You can get anyone. Go and buy a centre-half. And then see Van Dijk go, right, okay, that's why we waited. That's why we paid 75 million. He knows what he's doing, and he's going to put us all out of a job, because ultimately, we're going to get to a point where we just go, it's all right, Jürgen knows what he's doing. During a couple of years, it's all right, Jürgen knows it more than I do. Sit back, everyone. It's going to be absolutely fine. And, you know, he's getting everything right at the moment. Just
personally, on your from Redmen TV's point of view, how has it changed for you now, access-wise, to the ground? Are you kind of, do you have an affiliation now?
God, no, Jesus Christ.
Still just like on a tripod behind the
wall?
wall?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean, if by access means that they go, here's a footy shirt every now and again, like, which is nice, by the way. They cost a frigging fortune, don't they? No, not really. I mean, we get a couple of bits here and there. You know, I was lucky enough in the summer. I asked the question, but it was only off the back of we were at the Player Awards, we're doing the red carpet interviews, and Jürgen come out and said, I watch you. And you know, every bodily function that I had available to me activated at one moment there. But so I had that a little bit of like any chance, because Jürgen knows who we are, and so bits and pieces. But no, we do what we do, and you know, we get a little bit of moments, and obviously Jamie knows the moments. We got invited to go and do a slot on stage at the fan park in Kiev, one of the greatest moments ever. And I think what we're finding with the football club, in an all-round sense, is I think they're starting to get it. They start to get it. They're understanding the culture. They're understanding more and more the importance of the fans. They know that the Kop for example, is not just a poster. It's not a photo. It's a living, breathing thing, and it requires people who genuinely get the club. It requires local fans, not exclusively, by the way, because there's mad, amazing Liverpool fans from all over the world, but the heart of this football club is in this city, and it should remain that way. So, you know, we don't get any preferential treatment, but it is nice that the someone in there goes, we quite like what these guys are doing, and you know, we'll see what we can do to get involved. All
right, excellent. We're going to bring in our third guest on now. Just sit back and we'll ask a few questions. As I say, we'll pitch them to all three. For now, Paul Machin, give him a round of applause. Thank you, Paul. You've already heard from our third and final guest, and it's I want to hear his story as well, because it's a great story as well, very much synonymous to Liverpool fans. Please welcome back to the stage, Jamie Webster.
Hello.
Hello, son. You okay?
I'm all right.
So you've Shevchenko Park stage, but now you're here.
Yeah.
Now you're in the Baltic Market, mate. You've arrived.
From rags to riches, eh?
From rags to riches. From slags to bitches. That's going to be my memoirs, that. Tell us your story, mate, because it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I mean, we've all seen YouTube stuff, we've all seen Twitter feed stuff of you singing in a bar in America with Jürgen Klopp. It's for the lad who's essentially just a Liverpool fan. What's the last 12 months been like? How did it start, and how's the journey been for you?
Well, I've been playing music around Liverpool match days for probably about 5 years, but it only started taking off really after a Mo Salah song last season, and then LA, 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 but they were both quite close to each other, I think, once they emerged onto the Kop. But funny enough, I think someone said to me on the WhatsApp group a year ago today, we played Porto, and that was the first time I heard LA, LA, LA. So, from that, I've done a lot since then, but
I don't think a song in recent years has made that much of a difference, has it? Than that, it's just went, because I remember before the City game last year in Champions League, and it was just terrifying them. You could see it. You know, they've got their own one now. That's how bad it is. They sing one. You know what I mean? It's like, get a fucking grip with you.
It's embarrassing, isn't it? Really
just,
embarrassing.
You know, those that turn up sing it. Yeah. But it's made such an incredible difference, hasn't it, to the... And what was interesting, before the Bournemouth game, there was a lot of stuff on social media saying, get behind a team, and I think it's a massive thing now for every home game, because the atmosphere against Bournemouth was exceptional. And I think that song is a big part of it, but I think it's something that everyone needs to do for every home game, do as much as we can to try and put the Reds over the line.
Well, when you look at it now, as far as I'm aware, or I'm concerned, you've got 12 games left, is that right? Every one of them games has got to be bigger than Roma, City at home. Everyone's got to turn up. You can't be, 5 minutes into the game, Keita plays a bad pass. You can't be, get it, he's fucking check. It's not worth it.
That's that thing they're talking about, it transferring from the crowd to the players, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. If everyone's both, I mean, I know for myself from following Liverpool for the last 8, I've spent all my money on Liverpool since I've been 16 and had a job, following them around Europe and England. And when it does go hand in hand, when the crowds are right up for it, you can see in them first 5 minutes the players have that extra spring in the step, and there's a couple of chances early on, and it makes so much of a difference. And like I say, it's just great that I've been able to have a little part in what's gone on in the last 12 months.
Just explain to us what happened, because you ended up with this brilliant run. I know you've been singing for ages, you've been supporting the Reds for ages. It's not like they've plucked you out of obscurity. But this idea that you suddenly end up on a stage being supported by John Power at the Shevchenko fans park must have just been like, you must have been just pinching yourself.
Yeah, well, obviously it started, I heard the song in Porto when we went over there for the away leg, and either the same night or the next morning, whichever way you want to look at it, my mate said to me...
yeah, because no one slept.
Yeah, I definitely didn't for the 2 days like that I was there.
That'll pay $1,000 to sleep on some peasant's couch, won't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, so a few of the lads had woke up, I was there, and he said, we had this video of this song, about 50 lads that we heard from the ground singing this song, and it was a bit slow and jaded at the start when I heard it, so, ole, and I don't know, it didn't look like people were coming or going with it, but we seen the words to it. And if anyone knows Kearnsey off Twitter, he's a miserable so-and-so, like, you know, but he turned around to me and said that morning, like, you know, that song there could be like the Ring of Fire for, like it was in 05, at the end of every European game from here on in, at the end of every league game, we need that song to be at the ground. He said, because I sort of had a little bit of a reputation as a Liverpool singer-songwriter, whatever, I just decided to get home and play it on the guitar and see if I could work something out to it. And it's the easiest thing I've ever done, to tell you the truth. I'm still laughing at how easy it was now, but I played the home game between Porto and Man United, and then I played at the Boss Night that night after we'd been beat by Man United, and that's the video that done the rounds last year, and that's what eventually got us in touch with the club over Kiev, doing the Shevchenko Park, which obviously Paul was involved in as well, and the Anfield Rap. And yeah, it's just been, since then, my career's like took a completely different trajectory. And
you were telling me before we started tonight that you ended up getting a phone call to go to pre-season in America with the team.
Yeah, well, I was on holiday with my bird in Spain, and I was sat there.
That's his girlfriend.
Yeah. And
for our overseas fans.
Yeah. If anyone doesn't know what your bird is, it's your girlfriend. Yeah, your significant other, should I say? So we were sat there, and my phone rang, and it was Dan Nicholson who'd done the last Blood Red event. And he phoned me and said, listen, we've been on, it was Tom Cassidy at the time, he's the head of tourism, I think, at Liverpool, really nice fella, and he just said, they want us on tour, they want us to do basically Shevchenko Park all the way around America. So I was, are you sure, like, that's what they want? And they were like, yeah. So at first we thought maybe they'll give us a budget and say, book your flights, you need to be here on this day, whatever. Didn't know anything about how it was going to go, and then we went in for a meeting, turned out we were flying with the players, staying with the players, you know, in and out of all the airports, like royalty. It was like, it's how the other half live, you know what I mean? It was something else. And then I think the week later we done a gig in Dublin. I was back in an Airbnb, sharing a bed with someone. So it was
arrive in a limo, leaving a taxi. That's the old showbiz saying, isn't it?
And then I think we landed on a Sunday morning after like being awake for probably 32 hours, beating Man United in Michigan and playing a gig. And I was back in work on site then on the Monday morning, so... Yeah.
Just hating the world.
Yeah,
Explain to us what it was like. Did you know that Klopp was going to come in? I don't know whether you've seen it. There's famous footage of him. Well, you're singing in the pub and Klopp comes in, doesn't he?
I think maybe now, you know, it's circulated that much, but I did actually know that he was coming in on that day. Like, someone slipped up in the morning and told me he was coming in. They said, oh, you've got a guest tonight. And I went, oh yeah, it's Jürgen, isn't it? Like, I was just taking the piss, you know what I mean? And she went, who told you? And I said, well, you just have.
Yeah, you know she was sacked for that.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's hopefully getting me involved in the tour again this year. So, yeah, lovely woman. But, yeah, so I knew he was coming in, but still, I didn't know how it was going to be. So, obviously, I think I was singing Ring of Fire, and I just heard this almighty scream, and I just turned around, and he sort of stood there pointing at me, and I thought that was going to be it, and then I thought, oh shit, he's coming over here, you know what I mean? I don't know what I said to him at the time, but it was probably had a swear word in it, and it probably.
I would imagine.
I can't even remember, but I got a hug off him and everything. You know, you look at him giving them players the hugs after the match, and that don't you think I like a bit of that, me, and I got a bit of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was a really, really good moment for me. Like, and everything that's followed since. I feel lucky, you know what I mean, but I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Just enjoy every second of it, mate, isn't it? And if we win the league, you'll have a double album.
If we win the league, I'll probably. If we win the league, I'll just end it all because I'll never be happier then that I won't be on that day. You know what I mean? Just
before we start reading the questions out, that is the question on everyone's lips, in it. I'm going to do a straw poll now, right? Just hands in the air. The majority of you're representing the fans here. Right on the nail. Are we going to win the league? Would you say that was half the room or majority of the room?
That's got to be the majority there.
It's got to be the majority.
Come on!
I tell you what, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because we were talking in the bar before, at the bar before, and as it's going now, it just shows you how vital that game at the Etihad was. Well, could end up being 11 millimetres that we never crossed that line. It could make such an incredible difference towards the end of the season. But we have to remember as well that, as you touched on before, James, we were 24 points behind this team at the end of last season. And to know that we're still in the driving seat, we win all our games, we won the league, we can be afforded one draw. We've got one draw in us and we win the league. Well, here's the interesting one, because I was talking to Pete about it before. Who, by a show of hands, would take a draw at United?
No way.
Shit house.
we will absolutely tear them to pieces. Did you see them against PSG last night? They absolutely crumbled.
Yeah, they crumbled. I think we're going to do them anyway then. Take a draw at thing.
Well, we'll kill them.
It is going to go to the wire. For now, we're going to get some questions. We'll give a round of applause to Jamie Webster for us, guys.
You've been listening to the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo.